feel when your numbers go up and they hear you. They start following your message cause they feel you. Haters in the rear view wanna ruin plans. Don't be startled, they just low-key fans. They tight like bands on the fresh stack. Knowing Rolo runs the city, bringing hip-hop back for the 51st year with my loquacious bands. Now this ain't no love.
Greetings, my good people, and welcome back to the Rolo Runs the City podcast. I am your host, Rolo, and I am here for another week that's going to actually break some more things down for you in reference to, obviously, self-improvement, personal development, things of that nature. We're always trying to level up any way we can. And with that being said, y'all feel free to always check me out. I am on Instagram and Facebook, both at Rolo Runs the City Podcast, also at Rolo Runs the City Music, and not to mention, we're also on Twitter, well, X, formerly known as Twitter, at Rolo Runs the City. And don't forget to check out RoloRunsTheCity.com for all things Rolo. And of course, if you're on the YouTubes, man, feel free to subscribe to my channel. Every time I drop a video, you guys know about it. Make sure you hit that bell notification, man, and let's get this thing running. But with that being said, we are going to start the show off with 10 very vital things that every man really needs to master in their life. So this is the Blueprint Show. Yes, the Blueprint. Obviously, it's something not only do I look into and try to exercise and practice myself daily, but I think it's actually great to share this information with people that may have some trouble trying to stay on track, trying to, really stay focused and be on course with what needs to get done. So I said, let me go ahead and put a little blueprint show together. So then that way I can go ahead and try to get this out and be as transparent as I can be. At the end of the day, transparency is key. And in order for you to want to level up, you have to really dive into these things. So, like I said, this show is the blueprint 10 things every man needs to master. And of course, I'm going to say these 10 things. It's not in any particular order. I feel like they're all vital. To me, it's, number one, all the way to 10, because they're all must. They're all urgent. They're all vitally important. But for the sake of keeping track of 1 to 10, we'll say 1, 2, 3, so on and so forth. But anyway, we're going to start off with fitness. Everybody knows that health is wealth, and the body that you own reflects upon your discipline. And that could be through exercise, through dieting, where your mental clarity is and your mindset. It has a lot to do with the person that you are. I feel like there are so many people that they are dope souls. I say this myself. I say I want to be a dope soul. I am actually just the type of person that I see somebody and I say, man, that's an incredible being. And you try not to be judgmental and you try not to actually take people, in reference to face value. But you say, man, this person, they're lacking in reference to their health and wellness. They're such a great being, but there's something that's blocking them from reaching the next level of their life. And nobody's perfect. I mean, we all have our vices. We all succumb to our vices, unfortunately. But, the best thing that we can possibly do is do the best that we can to try to stay on course. Like I said, nobody's perfect. I know I'm not. I don't want to hear this crap about, well, you're too old to say you're still a work in progress. That's something that you say in your 20s and 30s. And no, man, we're all a work in progress. Every day we are a work in progress. So the way I look at things is you're always as good as your last outcome. Every day we get a sense of renewal. And yesterday doesn't matter. Tomorrow's the future. It'll come when it comes. But what are you going to do today? So you have to make sure that you keep mental clarity when it comes to your health and wellness, making sure that your body stays disciplined, not succumbing to your inner animal instincts or primal beings of to kill and consume. I mean, we really have to be very cerebral when it comes to what we do in reference to our activity, what goes in our mouth, what we drink, things of that nature. So, definitely, you want to stay on task with that. And you really have to master yourself when it comes to your health and wellness. You guys know what's good. I mean, you got a smartphone. We can't have smart technology and be dumbasses. That's just plain and simple. We can't. We have to make sure that we're doing the best that we can to generate the best health and wellness that we possibly can with all the information that you're given. I understand that sometimes you get paralysis of choice because there's so many things that are out there, but choose a path and run with it. That's the best thing that you can possibly do. If you don't feel me, that's okay. I don't take things personal, but find somebody that you do feel and you're like, man, I really resonate with his message or resonate with her message. And I'm going to go ahead and see their blueprint on how they do things. And I'm going to follow that. You can go right ahead and do that. I'm all for it. It doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is you getting better at the end of the day. Because whether if you want to listen to me or you don't want to listen to me, I mean, that's your choice. That's his or her flavor. Whatever you seek out, go ahead. I hope you get the outcome that you get, that you want. You know, you're going to always get what you get, but it all depends on the work that you put in. But my thing is find something that you resonate with and just keep moving forward. That's the best thing that you can possibly do. And of course, I'm very keen on this when it comes to like handling your own body weight. So I always talk to my wife all the time. I say, you know, there's so many people that they like to go on cruises when the time comes. And I think it's a beautiful thing when you go ahead and you want to take time off, you want to take the family out for like a family cruise or some sort of vacation or whatnot. But I am very, I guess I'm a stickler about it. I always think to myself, I need to make sure that I'm strong enough to handle my own weight. And the reason why I say that is because, say, if I'm on a cruise and somebody's having a couple of drinks next to me and I'm, you know, over here talking and I may be by a rail and somebody may push me hard and there's a possibility that I fall off the boat, right? But I grab on and I've got some sort of a handle. Am I able to pull my own body weight up to get back on that boat because some jackass wanted to act a fool because they had a few too many? And of course, for me, I don't drink, but at the end of the day, sometimes we get subjected to somebody else's BS because they don't have their discipline in order. And a lot of times when people do go on vacation, they let too loose to a point where they may have regrets later on. But that's another podcast for another day. But with that being said, do you have the strength to pull yourself back up on that boat? Or if there's an emergency situation, not only can you hopefully can carry your own weight, but are you able to carry the weight of somebody else? There's always emergency situations that can arise, and would you be able to rise to the occasion? So that's something that we really need to take into consideration in reference to our health and wellness. I'm a firm believer in that. So, you know, keep your diet clean, whether if you're plant-based or if you're carnivore, keto, whatever you're into. I mean, just make sure that you're following a plan. The worst thing that you can be consistent at is inconsistency, where you're like, oh, you know, I try to do the 80-20, but and then you're going 80-20 the other way, where your behavior is inconsistent and you're eating 4 or 5 times outside a week. And we already talked about that on the last episode about them using these hydrogenated oils and, you know, canola, vegetable, that stuff isn't good for you, you know. And obviously, a business is there to profit, you know, improve their profit margin. How do you do that? You know, you buy, it's no different than the stock market. You buy low and you sell high. You buy the cheapest product that you can go ahead and muster up and be able to construct and You try to dress up your product and you sell it for the most money. That's what McDonald's does. That's what Burger King does. All these places do that. So I'm not crapping on them. Hey, man, to each is his or her own. If that's the route that you want to go, then that's fine. But my recommendation to you is not to be inconsistent in reference to your 80-20 rule. Like, don't be 80% consistent of being inconsistent of doing the bad thing. And you try to clean it up 20% of the time. Got to switch it around. But anyway, fitness is definitely of great importance. Like I said, health is wealth. So you may want to master that. Number two is your finances. You definitely want to think long term. You don't want to think as short term. It's not about wants right now. It's about what you need to do right now. So then that way, when you have those wants later on, you're able to execute that with no problem. A lot of people don't realize that it takes a short time to sacrifice. And if you sacrifice in that short time, you could live a life of luxury. But a lot of people want that life of luxury right now with zero work. And if they're not getting any work in, but they want that life, I mean, it's not going to bode well for you. What gives you options? I always think all the time if you're having a hiccup or some sort of a situation, things happen. Cars break down. You may need a repair in the house, or you may have to get some piece of equipment to get something done at your business. And if you're not actually in a position where you have money put away, liquid, or if you're not investing, things of that nature, it can really come back and bite you. And that's something that we don't want to happen to folks. And I know for me, and it's hard when you're dealing with so many outside entities. Like, I have a wife that I need to make sure that I address her needs. I have my son. I have to make sure that I address his needs. He requires a lot. My daughter's in college, but she still requires a lot. You know, plane tickets and going back and forth to New York and things of that nature. So that alone is a lot. It's very taxing. Anybody can get themselves in order when they're by themselves, but when you have outside dynamics outside of yourself, you really have to be strategic. So with that being said, you have to make sure that your financial house is in order. And the more that responsibility and the more people that you have around you is a much more reason for you to tighten up. So, you have to do things such as doing the best that you can to, budget your money, making sure that you invest. I'm going to tie number one, fitness, and number two, finance together in reference to my personal take on things and what I do. So my finances, I do a daily log every morning of all my accounts. I'm talking about in reference to, bank accounts, credit, um, my investment portfolio, everything every day. And it sounds very meticulous, and I guess you could say it is, but I track everything every day. I have my red for my losses, my green marker for my gains. And I'm always making sure that I go through everything with a fine tooth comb. And I know it sounds very meticulous, and it is. But at the end of the day, if you can master having your money in order when you're looking at what you're doing daily, this will be a great indicator of, hey, I'm doing a great job, or man, I need to tighten up. So if you got a lot of red marks and I run into them, I'm like, man, we got to tighten that up because we need to be bringing in more money than we're spending. But when your gains are good, you're like, okay, this is something that we need to build on. Momentum. Bam, there you go. Now, in reference to fitness. Now, many of us now, we all have smartwatches and things of that nature. It's a great indicator of your fitness. If you get your 10,000 steps, incredible. If not, if you fall a little short, that's okay. But for me, I'm always trying to get those 10,000 steps daily. Not only that, but you could also track your progress in reference to your workouts. That's something that I plug into an app that all those calories that are burned during a workout, I plug it into my app, and my app is actually a food app that I use, and Whatever food I consume, I mean, I log everything. I log all of my food. And in fact, it's funny because my wife makes fun of me. She's like, man, you log everything. I'm like, dude, I have to because this lets me know if I fell off during my weigh-in on Saturdays, then I know what happened. But if I don't log that, then I'm SOL at that point. And you guys know that's out of, sugar honey iced tea out of luck. So I don't want to be in a situation where I'm not logging my stuff because then I'm wondering like what the hell went wrong. It's the same thing with my receipts. I have receipts for every transaction that I make. It's so funny. I go to places, right? Like if I go, somewhere to grab a coffee with my wife and I'm like, "May I have the receipt, please?" And I guess people are so not used to giving you receipts anymore that they're just like, "Oh man, he asked for a receipt. Let me go print one out." But it's like, but you wonder why people are walking around broke. And it's not because they're walking around broke because they want to be. They're just frivolously spending without realizing it. And then next thing you know, they're like, damn, I thought I had more than that in my, on my credit, or I thought I had more than that in my bank. Like, I can't believe that this transaction didn't go through. It's like, dude, have you been tracking your spending? You know, and little indicators like that, like, damn, went to go get coffee. Make sure I get get my receipt. It's just little things like that I know personally that help me. And with that being said, if I'm taking that coffee, right, I'm logging that too. I'm logging that coffee with that cream and the size of it. That's just what I do. I know it sounds like a meticulous process, but my thing is if you're not paying attention to your life will slip away so fast. And it's absolutely imperative to ensure that you keep track of these things, man, because I'm going to be honest with you. I know when I advance in age, I have great habits that I've established. So I'm not going to age like the rest of my peers, people that, I grew up around back in the day. I mean, I don't really associate with many of those folks anymore because, we're just geographically in different locations. But you catch up with folks over social media, things of that nature. Like I promise you, I'm not looking like those people. And I know they're not looking like me. And I'm not saying that I'm better than anybody, or I'm not saying that they're better than me, but what I'm saying is that I have habits in place to ensure it may be meticulous, but this is my life we're talking about. And that's the approach that everybody else should have as well. So, you know, in reference to those finances and fitness, keeping a log is important. And we talked about that, a couple weeks ago about being data driven. We'd say, hey, people lie, numbers don't. It is what it is. So you want to make sure you actually do that. Another thing that we're going to talk about right now is let's talk about the emotional control that men need to have. You want to respond, okay? That's number 3. Emotional control is absolutely important because you want to respond, you don't want to react. A lot of times, and it's not only women, because men do it too, but this is the reason why we need to make sure we reel it in a bit. When you respond and you don't react, it's a great thing, great trait for a male to have. You have to master your emotions at the end of the day. You really do, because a multitude of things are happening. I know with me, I have a family, and a lot of times those outside entities, they may be going back and forth and, oh, this is going on here, this is going on there. And a lot of times I find myself to be the husband, to be the dad, to be everybody's psychiatrist, things of that nature, because at the end of the day, they're looking at me, they're like, Dad, what do you think? Or Hun, what do you think? And I have to sit back, I have to think, and then I'm like, okay, I think this is the course of action that we need to take. I believe this needs to get done in order to achieve this goal. So that's one of those things that we need to make sure that we do, is that we master our emotions. So I find myself in those situations daily. I mean, even like my daughter's in college right now. She's in New York. She still texts and she's like, Dad, I'm so upset. They got me in this position of leadership and I'm trying to deal with this person and I don't know how to deal with them because they're absolutely just toxic and they're difficult to deal with. And I got to sit back there, let her know, say, hun, give me a moment. I'm thinking. And then I try to construct a good response for her to use. So I noticed that every day, no matter what, it doesn't end. I know I need to make sure that I have great emotional control because not only for my own life that I want to make sure that I have that for, but I'm also providing counsel for my children. I'm also doing the best that I can to be the best husband I can for my wife. So then that way I'm ensuring that we have a clear message across the board. Too many people are emotional nowadays, especially men right now. Back in the day, it wasn't so much like that, but now it's like, oh, like, well, wait, we have a voice too, and it's good. Men need a voice, and that's why I'm here today. I'm trying to be a voice too for men, but at the same time, it's to be a voice of clarity. It's not to be a voice of complaining. There's a big difference. So you got to make sure that you have great emotional control. You have to learn your triggers. Stuff that triggers me, I definitely I look at things and I'm like, man, I want to go off right now. Yesterday took my son to a field trip, and I'm trying to get over. I'm trying to get over on the right lane, right? Because like I'm getting ready to turn. So I let these. No, I'm out in Atlanta, and I'm trying to let these folks know, like, hey, I'm getting ready. I'm turning on my signal. I'm getting ready to take a right, and this jerk is trying to speed up so I don't jump in front of him. And I'm not jumping in front of him. Like I'm getting ready to go. I got my signal light on. I'm going, but you're still trying to go fly past me anyway. But you can clearly see that I'm turning into the lane and I'm not jumping in front of you, but you just don't want me in front of you. And boy, do I want to give him not the pointer, not the ring, not the thumb. You already know a finger, right? And I got to calm down because I'm like, dude, you know what? At the end of the day, I'm taking my son on a field trip. I'm with my wife. We're just chilling. We're at our own leisure. We're happy. I said, I don't know what this gentleman or this woman has going on, but I hope they get to this destination safely because evidently whatever they got going on is a hell of a lot more important than what we're doing in their life. But at the end of the day, I realize I have so much to gain with the experiences that I have with my family, and I have a lot to lose. And there's some folks that don't think on that aspect. So, like I said, one of my triggers is people disrespecting me on the road. And I said, man, I just breathe. And my wife was like, wow, hun. Like, I said, yeah, I wanted to go off. She was like, yeah, I know you did. And I said, dude, I just wanted to give him the finger so bad, but I'm like, what's that going to accomplish? You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, when you're able to do that, what you're actually doing is you're just setting the example of there's things that trigger us all, but we can't succumb to that activity. So I just think it's awesome when you're able to correct it. You know what I mean? And I work relentlessly on correcting my triggers because at the end of the day, you have to be your own psychiatrist. Even if you go seek therapy, I don't knock it. I mean, anybody who wants to go seek therapy, I think it's amazing. You do what you have to do. You get stuff off the chest, and you deal with a lot of unresolved issues that need to be resolved. And a lot of times, many people, I think maybe 99% of us need that done. I mean, we all need that resolution of things that are unresolved, whether it's from childhood, whether if it's current situations you're dealing with, people reaching midlife, things of that nature. So I think it's a very important thing to actually get involved with. So if you don't have emotional control, or even if you do, if you feel like you have something unresolved that you may need professional help, seek it. I'm all for that. But anywho, we're moving on. Number 4, we always talk about it, baby, because this is what it's about: discipline. At the end of the day, you have to remember motivation dissipates 10 times out of 10. Just like that damn shower you took this morning. You stink now. Take a shower. You know what I mean? You got to renew it all the time, baby. You got to renew your motivation. False motivation is better than no motivation. And at the end of the day, if you want to be the best version of yourself that you want to be, then you're going to have to will yourself. You're going to have to do things anyway, even when you don't want to. You got to do it. You have to do it. It must be done. Like for me, I always talk about, with the podcast. I said, man, I got to make sure that I set up the day before, do what I got to do. So then that way I can get this message out to the people. And it takes discipline to make sure that you're running the way you're supposed to with regularity, having that a part of your circadian rhythm. Say, hey, on this day, we do this, and we do that. No questions asked, no debate about it. It's getting done. That's just the approach that you need to have. You know what I mean? And you have to understand that habits last forever. Even when even when motivation fades, motivation may fade, but the habits that you have in place last forever. So that could work one or two ways. You could either be inconsistent and just have the yo-yo effect for the rest of your life, or you could establish great discipline. So then that way, those habits stay intact. They last forever. Trust what I tell you. You know what I mean? And it's never too late for you to become a disciplined person, but it takes an act of awareness to say, hey, I don't have the discipline that I need to have right now. If I want to reach a certain goal, this has to get done. And you don't make it's not negotiable. You know, in the morning for me, I have non-negotiables. I go ahead, I knock out some hammer curls, and I knock out 50 push-ups every time I get out of the bed to get ready to go brush my teeth and start the day. That's just the way I wake up. You know what I mean? I have my non-negotiables. And I recommend anybody, and that's nothing big. I mean, those are small things, very minute that get done, but it's a standard that I set for myself. At the end of the day, I always want to know, hey man, if I get knocked on the floor, will I be able to push myself up? I always think about that. Say, hey man, if I got to go ahead and I got to carry something for a lengthy a lengthy time, am I able to do it? I'll knock out my little hammer curls. I want to make sure that my arms are up for the task. So that's just basically what I do. It's not, I wouldn't say it's needle moving, but it could be stacked up over time. But at the end of the day, that's just how I operate. So I'm not saying that you have to do the same thing, but what I'm saying is do something that gets you going early in the morning every day, because at the end of the day, you want to make sure that when you go to sleep, you feel fulfilled. You're like, I've done everything that I need to do. I've exercised everything that had to get done. So I'm telling you, you have to do it. When you establish these routines, you establish structure. We talked about structure last week. Men, especially, need to make sure that they develop structure. We cannot go off of a vibe. Some days we're feeling it, a lot of days we're not. You have to build that structure. And when you're building discipline with good habits in place, it will last forever. Trust what I tell you. It'll be as regular as putting on your underwear and heading out, doing what needs to get done. Unless if you go commando, but whatever you do, make sure you got some damn pants on, you know. But anyway, I ain't trying to be corny or nothing like that, but it is what it is. We're gonna keep moving on. All right, we got number 5. Number 5 is very important as well, and it's leadership. People think to themselves like, well, on my job, I'm not really a leader, or no matter what, people are leaders wherever they're at. At the end of the day, they have to lead themselves. You have to get up. You have to wash yourself. You have to head out. You got a job to do. You got a family to take care of. Or even if you don't have a family to take care of, you got to take care of yourself. You can't just let yourself go to the wayside and just be like, oh, well, I'm not feeling it. No. You are a leader, my friend, even if it's leading your own life. But at the end of the day, it starts with leading your own life. So you want to make sure you're doing that as well. And you always want to be that example that people want to follow. So for me, for instance, I want to make sure that I'm doing the best that I can to be a shining example of leadership in reference to my family, first and foremost. Okay. My daughter, like I said, she's in college in New York, and Lord willing, in a few years, she's going to be a second lieutenant in the United States Army. And it was funny because I mentioned this, I think it was the first episode that I did this season, about me making sure that I finished my marathon. And I was severely, I'm talking about injured. You know what I mean? And I had her in my mind because I'm thinking to myself, I said, what kind of a leader would I be to show that, well, I'm going to quit? Now, mind you, I was hurt. All indicators are like, hey, dude, I'm surprised you even finished because a lot of people don't even finish under the circumstances. But I kept having that in my mind of what kind of an example am I showing if I quit when things get hard? Now, I had every excuse and every reason to quit, but I did not quit because we don't quit. Okay. Well, we start, we finish. So I wanted to make sure that I did that. Not only that, you just want to be somebody that people can trust. And if they can't trust you, it goes to show you you're not much of a leader. And it's funny, right now, obviously, we hit the end of tax season and you're getting all these scam calls. People trying to scam this and scam that. Oh, we have a debt relief program or please feel free to contact us at, we're a division of the IRS. I mean, I'm talking about some crazy scam calls. And I feel bad because there's a lot of elderly people who fall for these things. Look, the IRS is never going to contact you or call you. It just is what it is. They're not going to. They're not going to provide any debt relief of that nature if you're not going to their website and applying for whatever sort of payment plan yourself. They're not going to call you. But it's amazing. The reason why I mention this is because these people on the other line trying to scam don't realize that they're actual leaders. They're scammers, right? But they're leaders. They're so innovative of what they're trying to do. They're trying to work so hard to scam to get money as opposed to building an empire and trying to make it legitimately. But don't realize that there's great leadership of what they're doing. I mean, I'm talking about setting up, AI systems, ways to get information, ways to extract money from your bank account, ways to do what they can to get your information compromised via websites, whatever they're using. So, they're no different than dope boys in the drug game who are actual street entrepreneurs, right? Like, dude, if you can be a successful drug dealer, dude, you can build an empire legitimately. Because at the end of the day, it's all business, right? But I understand you don't want big government taxing you. But if you go the right way, okay, make sure you're putting away 45%. It is what it is. They're going to take almost half your money, especially when you're grossing the way you need to. But leadership is in every entity, is what I'm basically trying to say. I'm not telling people they need to go out and deal drugs. I'm not doing things like that, okay? I'm not telling people that they should scam. I'm not doing things like that. But what I am saying is everybody has leadership qualities. When it comes to being a leader, you must be a leader. And my thing is, I'm just asking you to be legitimate. So if you can do that, like I said, why would sky be the limit if you got boots on the moon? And like I said, we always say that's debatable, but it's a great saying. Anywho, number 6, of course, I'm really big on faith. I have a very great relationship with my creator. Easter's coming, Good Friday's tomorrow. So, of course, I do my religious thing. Not everybody's religious. I totally understand that. Not everybody's spiritual. I get it. But at the end of the day, you have to connect and believe in something greater than you. At the end of the day, you have to. Even if it's being connected to a future version of you that you know is greater than the person that you are right now. You have to have some sort of connection. You got to check your ego at the door. You really do. A lot of people don't understand that this earth is huge. And it may not seem big when you go out into space and you see things that are just bigger than what the third rock from the sun actually is. But this earth is huge. So with that being said, this is a shout out to all the narcissists out there. You're not that special. Okay? At the end of the day, if you really want to hit on something, be a good servant. Because at the end of the day, if you're a God fearing man like me, you understand that God is the greatest servant yet he has masterful power. And when you start understanding that you ain't that special, you know how to fall in line and do what you can to serve humanity. And in order to get to that next level, you're going to have to believe in something. If you don't, then I feel sorry for you. There's nothing much I can say about that. But you definitely want to make sure that you check your ego in at the door. And the sooner that you do that, and the sooner that you know that the earth doesn't evolve around you, dude, there's so much of a freedom when that happens. A lot of people want to be the center of attention. They want all. They want it all. They want the fame. They want the fortune. It's like, dude, if you're in tune with your soul and you do what you're supposed to do on that aspect, God is going to make sure He sees everything through, whether you believe that or not. God, universe, Allah, Buddha, whoever, whatever you believe in. All right, moving along. Number 7, identify your community. This is absolutely important to identify your community because you want to build your circle, not just a following, and so many people get so caught up into, oh, I want X amount of followers and I want to do this and I want to do that. And I want to make sure that I'm a person of influence, of stature, but they can care less about the people around them. And that's the thing that's unfortunate. You got so many people, man, that they just, they're so into themselves. And you have to do the best that you can to look at people for who they are, people. So I'm on Instagram the other day and I chimed in on a couple of comments on some posts that I absolutely liked. Obviously, I look at the material, I say, man, if I got something to say, then I'll say it. And right away, I go ahead, I leave a comment. Soon as I hit send on the comment, next thing you know, got somebody, bam, DM right away because they have these things set up automatically on DM. Once somebody sends in a comment, they just automatically hit your DM right away. Dude, they can care less about you. And all they care about is their agenda, which is whether fame or fortune or however they see it. But that's what they care about. They don't care about who they want to help. They don't care about being good service to humanity. I'm not trying to say that I'm out here trying to be Mother Teresa. I'm not. But what I am saying is people are just, they're disingenuous. It is what it is. I'm not going to lie about it. And like, reach out to me because you care about my well-being. Don't reach out to me to see what kind of monetary gain that you can gain from this relationship. At the end of the day, relationships will cultivate, money normally follows. But if you're out there chasing it, guess what? It's going to run from you. So stop chasing. Definitely build your community. Don't just build a following, man. And at the end of the day, too, you want to be around people who are going to push you, who want you to level up, and who are going to hold you accountable. I don't want to be around people that aren't forcing me to be my best self. What I want to do is I want to create a brotherhood. I want to create that bond with people that we talk about innovative ideas and goals for the future, our health and wellness, our fitness, our wealth. These are very prominent things to go after. But at the end of the day, too, cultivating good relationships are absolutely important. Toxicity is not. Masculinity is not toxicity. Masculinity is assertive and it's something that men should not shy away from. So brotherhood is absolutely important. We're very tribal beings. And you don't want to look like the current situation with Roman Reigns, where he's just raising his one finger in the air and he's saying, acknowledge your tribal chief. But everybody's going against him, so he doesn't really have a tribe. We all know that's WWE and everything scripted. But that's a perfect example. You don't want to act like you are the tribal chief, but yet you have no tribe. And there's nothing wrong with being a lone wolf. But just understand if you're being a lone wolf, but you're expecting people to follow the lone wolf, it's not how it works. You have to build community. So that's absolutely important. And number 8 is next on the agenda. Update your software. I'm not talking about your computer. I am not talking about putting an extra hard drive on your PS5. What I am talking about is this, your mind. You have to update your software daily, okay? Allow yourself to learn a new skill, a new language, whatever it is that you see fit that can allow you to level up as a human being. You have to update your software. We do all this stuff all day, whether even if you have good habits, if you're the type of person that loves to go to the gym every day and you're lifting weights and you're getting strong, but you're staying stupid and you're not being someone who has a growth mindset, who still has a fixed mindset, all you're doing is developing and strengthening a stronger loser. Plain and simple. So you have to make sure that you're always updating your software. You want to make sure that you're acquiring new skills. You want to make sure you're working on your mindset daily. You want to make sure that in case if you are one of those gym buffs, you want to look the part. Not only that, but you want to act the part as well. And you can't act the part if you're not doing those things to level up on all aspects. I talk about it all the time in reference to like Carmelo Anthony. Shout out to him. He's going to the NBA, well, Basketball Hall of Fame in September. But I always say that what Carmelo Anthony, his problem was that this man would score 28 to 31 points a game, but yet played zero defense. So if he's scoring 28 to 31 points a game, but the guy that he's guarding is scoring about 25 to 27 points a game, it's like, dude, really? Like, so you really any network, your net is probably at 5 to 7 points a game. Because just because you're scoring 27 to 31 points a game, but somebody's scoring 25 to 27 points a game on you, and you're only netting 7 points, well, you're only really scoring 7 points. You can't be a one-trick pony, man. You got to make sure that you are diversified. You want to make sure you're diversified in all aspects. In Carmelo Anthony's situation, he was a one-trick pony. All he could do is score. He wasn't really a defender. You want to be that person all across the board that could do it all. Shout outs to the GOATs, MJ and Kobe, because they absolutely had that intact. They could play defense, and on top of that, they'll kill you on the score. So it is what it is. But what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're expanding your knowledge and you don't want to remain stagnant. So if you're a one-trick pony, that's just something that's going to happen. And it's imperative now to learn several new skills and get yourself into several different ventures, because we don't live in the days of old where you can work for 40 years, retire, get the pension, get the nice shiny watch, your house that is paid off because you paid 45 grand for it, and you're good to go, and you're a man that has 3 or 4 kids and the wife is at home cooking and you guys are just set for life. Those days are over, unfortunately, but they're over. We've evolved as people, we've evolved as a world, and we're definitely in the future. So, with that being said, it's imperative to make sure that we're staying keen on updating our software daily. You have to do that all the time, man. You really do. And we're going to go to number 9 now. Work on your presence. And the reason why I say that is because in order to master yourself, you have to really work on your presence. Because to be honest with you, presentation matters. So if you're going somewhere and you're looking like a sloppy Joe, guess how you're going to get treated? You know what I mean? Because I'm a firm believer in how you do anything is how you do everything. So if you are sloppy with it, and we can say, oh, we're trying not to be judgmental. We're not judgmental here. People are judgmental, period. Okay? The best thing that we can do as human beings is give somebody a chance and hear them out prior to making a judgment. But it doesn't mean that we don't prejudge when we see you. So I've learned the hard way because I've been humbled down so much. So it's like, man, you cannot really judge that book by its cover. And I'm grateful that many a times when I do go into a situation and I think a certain way, I'm proven wrong. And I'm very humbled enough to say that. And I'm absolutely grateful that now, even as recently, I'm learning how to have more of an open mind. But do not think that we do not prejudge prior to seeing you and speaking with you. It's like, oh, okay, see who we're going to get involved with. Bam, we match the image. I don't like the way the image looks. And a lot of people shut it down right there. But in order to be open minded, you want to make sure you say, hey, what does this person have to offer? Let's find out. So you have to make sure you do that. Articulate yourself, stand up, and put your shoulders back, and look like you give a damn. Look like you care. Because at the end of the day, if you don't do that, you're going to be treated the way you're presented. I do believe in the laws of reciprocity. So whatever you put out into the world comes right back to you. We always talk about the good karma bank. Want to stay away from the bad karma bank. Make sure you're putting in deposits of good karma every day. And like I said, you want to make sure that you're doing the best that you can to present yourself in the best possible way, because how you do anything is how you do everything. So if you're sloppy with sort of, I mean, even as simple as you're throwing trash out of your car, you're littering, well, I can imagine what your house looks like. I don't know why we're trying to keep the car clean by polluting the damn earth. Dude, get a trash bag, throw it away. That's just one of those things I can't stand. But anyway, moving on. Number 10, last but not least, your purpose. Purpose is absolutely important. This is what gets us out of bed. You know, this is the reason why we wake up. Like, what's your purpose? You know what I mean? Does your purpose allow you to perform? Does your purpose help you push through the pain? Like I said, for me, for instance, I think being a great leader and trying to be a shining example for my family, for my kids, for my community is to deliver on what I'm trying to preach. In fact, I believe I'm preaching it well, so I have no choice but to make sure that I execute on the delivery. But many people wake up and they think to themselves, well, my life serves no purpose at this point. Everybody has a purpose here in this lifetime. You just have to go out and seek what it is. And I feel bad for many folks because they don't understand the people they hurt when they're moving purposeless. If you're a person who's a dad or a grandfather and you're moving with no purpose, you have people looking at you. Or if somebody depends on you and they want to do something, you know, and not even extravagant. I mean, if you're a dad and you're tired from work, I get it, man, but your kid wants to go to the park today. That kid does not know that his dad is tired as hell from work or the things he had to deal with mom today or deal with the other siblings or deal with the jackasses he had to deal with at the job. All he knows is that he wants to go to the park. So my recommendation is get up off your ass and take the kids to the park. And I take stuff like that personal. And the reason why I do that is because you guys already know I talk about my son having autism. And I feel like it's so important for me to ensure that I'm the best that I can be in this life for him. So whenever I'm striving to try to get better, to do the damn thing, it's because not only am I trying to do my best to lead, but I'm also trying to do the best that I can to be the example that he can follow. I don't want him to be like anybody else. And you guys should take that personally too. I don't think you don't want your son to be like LeBron James. You don't want your son, you know, to be like, what's his name? Mike Trout, who plays for the Angels. I believe he still plays for the Angels. You don't want your child to be like Arnold Palmer or Tiger Woods or Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos. You want your kid to be like you. Now, I say that with all respect because all these guys are great in their own right. But if your child is not looking at an example at home, then that's a problem. And majority of the time, we lose the battle of being great parents to outside entities because your son does not want to be like you. He wants to be like Lil Uzi Vert. He wants to be like the baby and all those other cats. Nah, I want my kid to look up to me and be like, man, I want to strive to be like my dad. My dad performs under great pressure. That's what you want. You don't want your kids to come up trying to be like somebody else. You understand what I'm saying? So we can all be fans and we can all have we can have adoration toward people and their greatness. But I'm a firm believer that greatness starts at home. So I know you may be tired and I know life is tough, especially for men, because, oh, he's a man. He doesn't feel. No, we got feelings. We just know how to compartmentalize. So I think the best thing that you can do in serving your purpose is being, of course, a great leader. And how much pain can you endure for your purpose? So I'm very purpose driven because of my family, but I'm also very purpose driven because I believe in humanity. I believe in people. I believe that we can make this world greater than what it already is. We just need to put foot to ass to work. That's all it comes down to. But anyway, that's my podcast for this week. I apologize if I ran a little bit longer than usual, but I do believe these 10 things are absolutely vital. So then that way we could become the best versions of ourselves that we can possibly be. We are men. We need to lead by example and we need to do what needs to get done in order to execute. Anyway, you guys already know the deal. You guys can hit me up on the socials. Instagram, Facebook at Rolo Runs the City Podcast, at Rolo Runs the City Music. You know I'm on there. On X at Rolo Runs the City. Check me out on the YouTube. Stream me on the old platforms there, Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you get podcasts. I'm on there. Amazon Music, whatever. I am there. But like I always close out, because these words are so true, and this is something that I wake up with daily. I say my mantra in the morning before I even go ahead and brush my teeth. Be the goat, man. Never a sheep, and don't sleep on your dreams. Y'all take care. Godspeed. Peace.